So, yeah, we are live now. So, uh, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a Sunday live for Homeschooling India this time. And we actually are back after a long, long break. All of us post COVID have now got busy in our own worlds, and we haven't done a Saturday live or any other webinar um, in a long time. And which is why I'm really, really very happy to have Aditi and Ratnesh. Aditi, in fact, I have been super inspired by Aditi at the beginning of my journey when we attended the Bangalore LSUC. There were only 2 sessions that I attended because my daughter was small, and one was Dola's session and one was Aditi's session. And I was so inspired, and I just knew this is it, this is the way I want to go ahead. I was super excited about that. So here I welcome Aditi and Ratnesh. Another this about the introduction. A very close friend, family friend of ours is closely associated with Aditi. Their firstborn, Nita's firstborn, and Aditi's son, Aditi and Ratnesh's son, share the same name too. So they are both called Drupad. So that's another, close connection between them.
Okay, looks like there's some connection issues. We'll just wait 1 minute.
Yeah.
And I'm Ruchi. I'll just introduce myself. So I'm one of the admins at Homeschooling India. I'm so happy to be meeting Aditi and Ratnesh. It's the first time that we're speaking, but I've heard a lot about you and I've heard a lot about your organization. So here's Sharmila.
Yes, I don't understand how I've logged in with a couple of this. I'm not sure, but yeah, so some problems with the internet, I guess. But yes, over to you, Aditi and Ratnesh, and a huge welcome to Ruchi also to join me today. Ruchi and me both look after are part of the admin team that looks after the Homeschooling India group. I have been a little inactive for the past 1 year, but Ruchi and the entire team is quite active. I thought maybe this could mark the beginning of me becoming active once again. So, welcome, Ruchi. Ruchi is also a mother to two, and they are both into alternate learning, unschooling, homeschooling. I think we do a wide variety of things. So, but today is Aditi and Ratnesh's day. So, over to you, Aditi and Ratnesh. Why don't you all introduce yourselves and tell us a little more about yours?
Okay, thank you, and yeah, hi to everybody who's watching this. And uh, I'll give you a very quick, you can say, recap of our history. You can say. So we kind of started off first of all working with children way back in 1999, and then we also set up a small learning center in 2002. At that time, our daughter was very small, just 2 or 3 years, and yeah, so she grew up and she kind of joined a regular school till about fourth standard. And at fourth standard, we pulled her out because, yeah, beginning of fifth, middle of fifth, we kind of pulled her out because we saw that she was getting A plus in everything, and we felt that that was not a good news at all. That means to us, learning isn't happening; A pluses are happening. So we felt that learning has to be more real, more meaningful, more inundated with failures and struggles, and that is what real learning is. So we pulled her out of the school. Also, it gave one of the motivations was that we gave her a lot of time to pursue what she wanted to pursue, which I guess is one of the common reasons for many people to
And I
start.
think the backstory of those A plus were underlying answers and exactly doing. She realized that she has mastered that art of how to fulfill the needs of that system to be in the A plus category. I think that was not something which was quite exciting for us as parents, because we thought we have already done all that. Not that our generation need to go through that again, the next generation. And that's where a lot of restlessness about this whole what we were doing for the education we did for 4 years with her was there. And yeah, I think so it's yeah, so the process of getting that A plus was something which was not very exciting. So
And as expected, once we started that off, obviously initially she was saying that, oh, I'll miss all my school friends and stuff like that. So we said, okay, we'll try it out for a year, and then you kind of decide. And within a year, she was like into a lot of things which she wanted to spend a lot of time on, dance and art and do making things and so on, whatever were her interests at that point of time. And that really boosted us. And yeah, and since then she has been on her own journey. She's now almost nearing 25, so I'm kind of fast forwarding her journey. Meanwhile, our son joined us in 2000.
I think I want to
Okay.
add
Yeah,
one more
please.
thing, which is because this question we get to hear a lot. How to bring, my child is not interested in doing homeschooling, I am interested. So we actually did this decision. We went together to the principal, meet principal, and share what are our intentions and how. And we spoke to them that, if it doesn't work out, is it okay for her to come back? And whatever the principal responded, that was a quite um, I will say encouraging for our daughter Asavri to get the confidence in what we are getting into. We knew that there is always a comeback, or there are no doors which are closed. It's just that we are opening new doors. We are opening more doors. Doesn't mean that the other doors are closed. And I think that anxiety holds many parents, that it's like, leaving that and I can't go back. It was not. It was not that.
Yeah, it is not like that for anybody. For
It's
that
for
matter.
anybody. It's neither for us nor for our children. It's not that. It's just that opening up more doors, and that's what we discussed with our daughter, that we are just opening more doors. And then she was like, "Okay, it's like, acha, it's as simple. Okay, let's try for 6 months, kind of thing." And that's where the journey for us began. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. So she. Yeah. Go ahead. I thought I'd just quick summary.
You can summarize.
Yeah, she's now 24, almost 25. She's just got married few months back, and so she's starting her own life in married form. But she's been doing primarily doing many things at the same time. So that's one unique thing about her, that she's into many things at the same time. And right now, one of the main things she's doing is a small entrepreneurship of her own, a business of personal care products. So that's been her journey. Obviously, we can talk a lot more about how this journey was. So from 10 years to now, she's almost 25. Our son joined us in 2004, December. And from then onwards, it's been, he has never obviously been to a school, because by the time the sister was out of the school, so no question of him getting into school. So it's just been one beautiful journey for him. He's now 18, more than 18. Right now into digital marketing. Last 4 5 years, he has been intensely into football. And finally, almost a month back or so, he said, "No, I'm stopping football and taking up this." So that's interesting twist in his story. After pursuing very seriously football for a whole lot of number of years, so he's jumped in. So that's a quick snapshot story of both of our children. And now we can get into discussion.
Yeah. So there's one question that's come up on the Facebook, so I'm going to show it here. And So the users asking whether they have given any NIOS exams or what
No,
preparation.
no, both of them have not given any 10th,
Okay.
12th college, none of
So,
those.
so if you allow me, I want to share how this whole thing happened. Uh, so it's actually not about any NIOS exams or anything. So while Asavri was approaching around 14 years of age, that's where now the next preparation of the life starts happening. So for us also it was the same thing. Um, uh, so now what required to be done? So then we started looking. Okay, NIOS is there, exams are there, this is there, on their own, on your own is there. So there are so many. Because by now we knew okay, we don't need to stick with one system. There are
Yeah.
many
Options.
possibilities.
Yeah.
And when she was doing all this understanding research, what happens in this and what happens in that and what happens in that, she asked a question that, but why do I need to give 10th exam? What after that? So after that was 12th, then what after that? Then after that college, but for what? So all a lot of question about that. Okay, so just that what is not clear to me right now. So then what's the point of giving that 10th right now? Because it's too early for me um to know what is that I wanted, because she was at that time quite a lot in different things.
So basically, she couldn't find a reason to give 10.
And she asked a question. I mean, we had. I'm just we are telling in a very small, but it happened like any other reflection would happen in our learning or anything which happened. So the 10th was also part of that. And as a family, as parents, we never had any reason why one should give 10th exam. We didn't ask that question when we were in 10th, but after giving 10th, we had this question: why did I need to give 10th? So she didn't find any reason, and we also realizes that there is no age to give 10th. It can happen anytime. Which I may we grew up like that. 10th has to be given. Means there's no other option. So that anxiety was not there. That okay, fine, it can be done. And so we got this understanding. We got this confidence that when it's required,
If it is
if
required.
it is required, and when she's ready, there are options which she herself knew. So we did not need to do anything beyond empowering her or whatever, being with her question. And she continued exploring different things, different levels, different stages, where she shown interest in internship, where she showed interest in different, picking up projects which were more challenging, for as challenging as creating a community kitchen, constructing on her own, taking up that as a project, and getting into all kinds of, including that building falling down after 3 4 4 months of working, and then again rebuilding. So she found whatever her doing in that, and she never felt giving a need for giving 10th or 12th exam. Whatever she wanted to do, she kept on doing. And there was a time when she started her business, she came back to us. By now she was around 20, 22, uh, around that age. And she said, okay, for me to know business, I need to understand accountancy. So maybe for that accountancy, I'll take 12th grade textbook and start with that understanding. And if required, I can also give exam. And she realized that no, this is not what giving it to me what I need to run a business. This textbook is not giving me the understanding what I need to. Rather, some other books or some other people, or asking question or doing and researching. She said that is what I need. So she even rejected that one source which she thought she maybe, because that's a, so even at that time she didn't feel ki now I need any 12th to give to understand the business. She did it in many. By the time I think she was already into finding her own solution, and wherever things comes up, including taking a license for her business, getting her business forming whatever are required and all that. So yeah, I think that's a short answer or long
Long
answer.
answer.
The short question which you asked, that have I given any NIS exams? No, not till now. Both the kids have not found the need till now. Yeah.
So didn't you have any fears, कि आगे क्या होगा? How are they going to get, settled in life, independence, earn money, how they earn their own livelihood at least? How was all that going to happen? पढ़ेंगे नहीं तो कैसे होगा? अब
So to be very frank, the when we look at okay, so we had also the fortune of working with many more children. So not just our children. When we look at children in general, I'm very inspired by each one of them. They have so many qualities, so many strengths. There's so much energy, so much drive. I would think the other way around, meaning if at all, why there is no, only reason is to be very happy and enjoy this lovely journey that they have and enjoy their doings, whatever they are doing. There's absolutely, in my mind, there is absolutely no fear. In fact, I let's just every day is like an excitement because what new they will do and how they will bring this energy. Yes, they will fail. As I said, failure was very important for us because that's the way to learn. So yes, they will fail also and succeed also, and that's part of life. Even today, we fail and succeed, so that's all right. And so I would say that instead of fear, what has really been is inspiration on a daily basis. Both our children and so many other families and children whom we have kind of
And
interacted
I
with.
think the reality of life, or whatever the experiences which we have gone through, and we have seen a lot of people around us going through, is that uh, so those anxieties of earning money and all those things are not taken care by the degrees. uh, when I finished my architecture, and I first time I mean went to the site, the carpenter looked at my design and said, "You're just passed out of the college." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Keep your design in one side. Come, I'll show you. I'll tell you the business. I'll tell you how things are done." Out of after 5 years of architecture, after so many of competition exam giving, reaching the best of the college, and then when you reach the industry, and then the industry is asking you this question that you're still not ready for me, kind of thing. And I knew internally that I was not ready for the industry. I needed, so my first 2 years of working were the one which we actually made me ready for anything which I could do. And our children are ready for anything they want to do right now. I mean, there's no comparison. So our anxieties are not at all relevant for them. Our anxieties are relevant for us. That what am I ready for earning money? Am I ready to change my whatever my line or business or career and all those things? I think those anxieties may be relevant for us, but not for, because our children are at this in a next generation. They are actually the next step in their life. So I don't think our interference makes any sense for them. So that we learned much earlier in our life with our parenting life, that because it's not about कि वो future में क्या करेंगे, it's also about आज क्या कर रहे हैं.
right.
They're so quick to learn things which they want to learn, and all those things. So uh, I think that they are the answer for our anxiety. Come on, look at us. Who are you feeling all this scared for, kind of a thing? Don't. Frankly, no, never had this anxiety, or not have, for any child who is following this path, kind of a thing. And there's no point of doing that anxiety. A lot of other things.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to take up one more question that has come up on Facebook, and it's a very simple question. I think the answer is going to be very simple. How to determine the academic progress? Is my child learning? How is he doing in all the subjects? Is he learning what he needs to learn? And how is he progressing? So, what is your take on that?
Okay, so my answer is simple. That if I talk about, if I change the word from academic to how to determine learning progress, so because okay, because academics is only one set of things that somebody has prescribed, and whether I want to learn that or not is a separate discussion. But the point is that I can learn anything at any point of time. So if I have chosen to learn, let's say, carpentry, or I've chosen to learn football, or I've chosen to learn, let's say, construction today. So Asavri learned construction at 13, Drupad learned football at 13, let's say. So our two children learning different things at the age of 13. Can I learn that? Can I apply myself? Can I move ahead in that as per my barometer, as per my scale? And if that is happening, then to us progress is happening. A learning progress is happening. It may not be academic, but then really, as I said, that's another discussion, because to us, these so-called subjects, which are called as academic subjects, by itself, again, when I need to learn something, I can learn it. Like how Asabri wanted to learn academics, she can learn academics at that time. So we don't think that there is a need to learn a certain thing at a certain time. It can be learned at any time if I need it. If today I need to understand trigonometry, okay, I'll give another example. When we moved into our Aarohi campus, I thought I knew about plants and trees, although I had never planted one before, kind of. And I thought I can make this campus green. And then the moment I started doing it, I realized, oh, how little I know. So in spite of so-called learning, the learning wasn't there, because we haven't really done the actual planting and when. But it's been a beautiful journey for me in the last few years to learn about plants, to learn about trees, and how to go about doing it in so many different ways. And I keep saying I'm in lower kg as far as trees and plants are concerned. But the point is that I can learn at this age, and it's a joy to learn at this age. That's it. So what if I didn't learn at any age?
So I just want to add, our son who's 18, last week he said that I need to work on my mathematical skills, and it is and then it is coming from the need that he said, if I want to get into business, I should be able to calculate, what my returns and percentage. When people say I should be able to do those calculations very fast, and then it will help me in decision making. I think I call that as progress. Ability to think that I need this and that's the need. I think the moment that comes, nobody can stop. He knows there are so many resources, including his parents, who can teach him if he wants. He hasn't come to ask, he taught me. He only came with a thought that I'm thinking. And now any calculations which 1 month back I would say for about any calculation, he will not give any attention. That's what I'm thinking. But now, because I'm also giving attention, and then he will ask me, how did you do that? Because the needs are different now, a kind of a thing for him. So I think I personally call that as progress, and because we could adopt this understanding, this progressing process much early with our children. It actually helped us to be at peace by interacting with our children, to understand that how they are progressing. When I had
one more example. Sorry, one more example. So at 14, me and he both went to do a paddy deep diving course, sea diving, the scuba diving course. And that course requires you to get all your concepts very clear, because you are going to go, whatever, 12, 13 meters down the sea. So you should know that kind of physics, that kind of science, and that kind of geography, and that kind of math. I'm using the subject words just to kind of connect with the question. And so they had videos for 2 days. They showed videos of different concepts, and they said, you learn all of these concepts and you will be tested before you can go diving into the sea. And the beauty is, this kid who he was 14 at that time, he has never really done any formal science, no formal background. In 2 days, he picked up all the concepts. He got 45 out of 50 in that test so that he can go diving into it. And not just that, he understood the concepts, because they were like, because you are inside the sea, you have to understand pressure, you have to understand currents, you have to understand all of those things. And so he understood that today, if you ask him anything related to those concepts, it's like he knows it. He may not know all the terms, but he knows the concepts in and out. So I'm saying, again, the learning can happen when it is relevant to us. If it is not relevant, who cares about what is pressure and what is not pressure?
I just want to bring this back to like because for sometimes for parents, the anxiety is that, okay, is my child really learning or not, kind of thing. So what worked for us is that interacting with our children almost daily, weekly, monthly, on those. I'm bringing these terms. Understanding from them that what are they are thinking about their learning, how are they learning, what are the different ways they are learning, what's happening. And for us, only academic was not part of our curriculum. So right from emotions to understanding cooking to buying whatever things to whatever
anything,
is whatever
anything and everything life has to offer.
and when we would know so many things that our children are learning, I think there was a peace. And that's where there is a peace even now.
Right.
But what happens that many of the time we don't go back to the child and understand from the child, because if you listen to the children, like there's so many stories of what's there in their mind. Although we say we are parents, but I don't think we know a lot about what's inside their mind, what they are learning, what they are thinking about something, and like for example, when he was around 7.5-year-old, my anxiety is little, okay, you have still not started working on reading and writing. So I asked one question to him, when are you planning to work on that? He said, whenever I need, I will do it. And this is how I will do it. And this is how my things are there. And I think that was that's the progress which I could see that, yeah, it's there. So,
by the way, he started reading only after 8 and writing little later. But I don't think he's if you take any other 18-year-old, he's pretty much there in terms of reading. He's kind of voracious reader, writer, whatever.
So even I have seen that, because my daughter also, who never went to school, she on her own picked up reading somewhere around, 7.5, 8 years old. And now she's absolutely fluent in writing. And writing has always been expression of her thoughts, her ideas, her dreams, her stories. It's not what somebody else wants, but what she wants to write. I think that brings in a whole lot of a difference. You're not writing for somebody else, but you write for yourself to express yourself. Yeah. So, Ruchi, I think you also have a question, right, that you want to ask right now?
I did. Actually, I wanted to know, a lot of the members are new to homeschooling. And one of the questions that they ask a lot is, how do you deal with the pressure from neighbors and family members, especially when this type of lifestyle is very different from what is normally seen in society? So I wanted to understand, where were you living when you decided to homeschool? What kind of school was your daughter in when you pulled her out? Meaning, what was the board, what was it like? And then when people reacted, how did you deal with that pressure?
So I'll start from After I came down from the principal's office, all three of us had went to meet the principal and inform about it. The moment we were out of the principal office, one of the teacher we met and we said, "This is what we have decided," and she said, "You're not going to come back." Then I came down and my friend was there and she said, "How come today you are here?" I said, "We are just pulling her out of this and we are starting the homeschooling." And she was absolutely shocked at that moment that something wrong or something kind of a thing. And then when we shared, after that I don't remember any incidents because okay, so it happened anything. We were pretty much in the city. We were living at that time in the city.
Bangalore. Yeah.
Bangalorean, typical Bangalorean. Our daughter's school was known as one of the child-friendly, prestigious school at that time. Admissions were not too easy to get into that school. Still not easy to get in that school. We never felt any pressure from anyone because I think there was no pressure on us from ourselves.
Yeah, we weren't trying to prove to anybody or convince anybody. If somebody like, I remember her brother saying, "You are totally messing up with her life." Very stern and a very, and it's her elder brother who was like, why are you doing this kind of thing? So I think it didn't shake us up because we weren't like trying to prove to him. But what we did a lot with a lot of people, and we continue to do that, is have a lot of conversations without trying to say that, hey, we know better or we are smarter or we have found a kind of a golden path or anything like that. No, we are just making our choices and this is what our thinking is. Yes, we respect and we would love to hear your thinking. So it's not like that the other person is holy, we are holier than thou kind of thing.
Including once we were traveling in the train and one of the gentlemen, when he came to know that our children don't go to school, so he said, "Okay, fine, let me
test you."
So he started asking something about noun and all that, and Drupad is making faces that these are some alien terms for me, I've never heard, kind of a thing. And then that person, in his own intentions, he actually was little upset with us or kind of forgiving us that without going to school, how children are going to survive and all that. And our children were listening to that conversation. And the first thing, when as part of our weekly or whatever our family reflection, we asked, "What's your opinion about this?" When somebody is saying that you don't know noun, and that's something required for your life, almost as oxygen is required, kind of a thing. That's how we didn't put in those terms, but I'm now adding my masala into it. That somebody is expressing this to you, what's your opinion about it? And that's where more conversation happened on the same thing. So anytime anything would happen, we would bring it, and believe me that sometimes we would feel that our children are feeling, maybe they will feel discouraged, or maybe it's because our decisions and all that. They always give us a different perspective, kind of a thing, that this is how they are looking at it, including the strategies. It's okay, we don't even listen to them, including strategies that, okay, that was something new, I would like to explore more about it, including asking question that, is it really knowing noun is so much important for me to understand the language of English, kind of a thing. Yeah. So all kind of conversations would happen whenever anybody would ask a question or not doubt, just express something, kind of a thing. So yeah, so don't remember that there was any pressure, whether it's a neighborhood, whether it's friends, whether it's relatives. Everybody responded in their own way, and I think what mattered for me and Ratnesh was that how did we react, whether we reacted or responded. And there were some questions which helped us to think about it, that is there something need to do. There were some questions which helped us to know, okay, this is how things are.
And this is where they are coming from.
Yeah,
but at all times, everybody is coming with a very strong positive intention for our children. So in that sense, we always have welcomed people who question us. That is awesome. Come, let's sit over a cup of tea and talk about it more. Because you are concerned about our children. That's wonderful, isn't it?
In fact, when our daughter decided not to give 10th exam, we shared with our relatives, we shared with our friends, we actually wrote to, and then this is how her intentions are. And I still have that blog, and there were different kind of response to that blog, and those blogs we read together as a family. That, you know, how it's always good to know different perspectives, and that's what we are opening up for our children, that why to close those perspectives. And they always have I think opening up those perspectives helps to know that our children have many more options, including listening to others, in not only following what parents are asking them to do.
And I want to add one very important point is, between both of us, we have never felt that the school system or the college system or 10th, 12th is anything wrong with it. Right? We are never against it in any which way. It is just one option in life. Right? And I can decide whether that option is what I like. If I like that option, great. It's a great option. Okay. So I think that is also very important, because some people get very strong against something, and then it's like a little tension, I guess.
Inside is
inside also tension, outside also tension. But for us, it's a great option, and as well as if somebody wants to do part of it, none of it, that's also a great option. As in, there's just possibilities in this world, and we can just see who wants to choose what possibility at what point of time.
Yeah, the only thing is, I think we didn't decide for our children. Always our children decided which path, including every year, do we want to go back to school, or we want to continue this path, or now where we, including even now, how we want, and all those things. So when we were exploring so many different windows with our children, I think that's what our children got just exposure of that. Now rest they can decide.
Yeah, nice. There's a question connected to this one, so I'm going to put that up. So what was your role in the homeschooling journey of your kids? So
okay, so I would say all possible roles that you can think of, right from cleaner to driver to talker to scolder to friend and enemy and discusser. And I think it isn't about a particular role. It is just that we are together on a life journey. So I'm guessing everybody will play, like husband, wife, play all kinds of roles with each other. I guess it's the same with children, that you just play all possible roles, and they also play all possible roles. So they are as much as our dad and mom, as much as we are their dad and mom. Right? They also can monitor us, see us, scold us, reprimand us, show us a different perspective, and so on. So I think, and it's not like that we are like friends to them. We realize that we are, in that sense, we are a generation apart. So how we look at the world is different from how they look. So to me, their friends are their real friends. We are as co-passengers, we are family members, and we'll always be together, and we have a different bond. But all of those, I think all kinds of roles. When we felt like teacher will try to teach them and they will shoo us away, or when they wanted us to teach and they will come to us and teach us this, we will teach them if we felt like teaching, or we will shoo them away that find it yourself. So all kinds of, think of millions permutation combination is how I would look. Why lock ourselves in one role? But one thing is very clear: they are responsible for themselves, and we are responsible for ourselves. And together as a family, we are responsible for the whole family, everybody. It's not like one person is responsible for the family. All of us like a team, like how a football team or a cricket team would be. So something like that. So that's how we have always looked at it. I don't know if
I think so.
Yeah, you had.
So one thing for personally, I felt my role was different when um, I was sending my daughter to school. Uh, it's like, there are certain things which are outsourced and they will happen. So this whole learning knowledge. So if I look at my first 4 years of my daughter going to school, that's where my role was that I have to ensure that she reaches in time, or all other my peripheral responsibilities are done by me, and there is a organization who will ensure that these things are delivered, kind of a thing. uh, but when the homeschooling, as the question is, the homeschooling journey of your kids, naturally the roles changed, because that one realization that living is not outsourced. So our children's learning is, when I say outsourced, doesn't mean that there are not other people who are not teaching our children, or there are say our children doing courses, or our children learning from other people. It's not that about everything I as a mother is taking care, but my mental role was different. uh, uh, so as Ratnesh is saying, and then whatever is required by us, we were, and it was also not that 24 hours we were for them, onto them, and all that kind of a thing, because we all are still living our life, and we have our own different roles to play, and that much role to play with our children, which we actually continue playing. Because now people ask, my daughter is married, my son is 18 plus. uh, uh, our still roles are same. We continue the same connection and whatever. So
Right, right. So
in
now
this
I'm
question,
going
if
to
you're asking anything specific and which we haven't answered, maybe we can share that. Yeah,
Right,
Sharma,
right.
go ahead.
No, I'm going to move on to another question, which also will bring you to the initiative that you have started, Aarohi, because there's this important question that is usually asked. How about social interaction? How do they interact with same age children? How did your children, I'm going to add on to it, how did your children face the questions that the neighborhood and the community asked, and then maybe you can flow into Aarohi, and how the idea to start Aarohi came up.
So, so I want to answer this, as Sharmila is saying, in two parts. Social
Okay.
interaction was not to do anything with Arohi or forming a community. That was a different experience to bring into our journey. So it's not that every parent has to start Arohi only, then their children will get a social interaction with.
Right.
What we realize is that, um, in reality, if you ask me, uh, school is not the place where the maximum social interaction happens. Even though our daughter, 4 years she went to the school, she hardly had any friends, because that's the kind of person she was and she is even now. She has her own selective interaction with select. She's not, whatever terms, she's not even an introvert. It's just that that's how she is, that she's not kind of thing. So she went into different art classes, music classes, whatever, dance classes. So her social interaction was limited with whatever happening in those spaces, and that much kind of a thing. uh, so she had a whole lot of opportunities. The kind of place we were living, there were people around us of the same age, different age.
Yeah, a lot of children were
lot
there
of
of her age, but she would not go and play with them.
she would play with us more, I think. That's what.
Or with herself.
Or with herself, kind of a thing. So her, so there was a lot of things which that's what she was. Our son at that sorry.
So I want to take it there. So, but when she reached around the age of 16, 17, she started feeling a need that I want to more interact with people of, this age group. Not my age, but older kids or older youth. And then she only found her ways and means to interact with more people. So I think it's what the point that I think we have realized out of this is that this whole thing about social interaction is very, very individual thing. It's each individual need is very, very different, and they will fulfill in many, many, many different
we
ways.
all fulfill
We all fulfill, and it is nothing to do with same age. They can figure out what age they want to interact with. And at different points, they would interact with people of different ages. I think this age notion is also very, very limiting because each individual is very different. Somebody would like, I want exactly my age person, but somebody is fine with interacting half a day or full day with a 30-year-old older person. So I think it's very, very individual. There is no one definition, and each child will have a different need. And again, as a family, you will have to see how those, at that moment, what that need is or desire is, how that can be worked about. So there's no one solution to it, one way of doing
whatever
it.
Reason, I think we didn't need to even do that. We didn't know to ki acha, now you need social interaction, so we will arrange social interaction.
We never thought of it actually, except for in question answer sessions.
And our son was little different. When I say little different, I don't think I'm doing justice to what he is by saying in my words, because he is different. Exactly different in the sense, whenever he needed, he would find his group, whichever group. But in fact, even if there is a huge gathering, and if he decides not to interact, while there is a lot of people of his age and different ages, sometimes he decides to interact, sometimes he decides to be by himself. So
so just to connect that, so we formed this community of Aarohi, which were families who were doing open learning, and we just use the term open learning, but it's the same as homeschooling, unschooling, whatever term you want to use. So we formed this community for different reasons, just to connect more as at a family level, not for any social needs of children. But what I'm trying to say, so in that sense, Drupad, our son, almost always had children around him. All right. But he always would choose whether he is very social with them or not social with them, or whom he is social with. So it was not just that the availability is there. That also means that the child will be very socially interactive or not. So again, it's a very individual personality or individual choices driven rather than the community driven. So while we formed the community, because we thought families, because the main reason was that we felt that the families would need support of each other, because otherwise the rest of the, meaning there are not many people doing this way. So it's good to get together. And that's what the whole idea. It was not for our children. It was, you can say, more for us and all other families, that we all get together and do this journey and support each other, which is what Aarohi is all about and continues to. So it wasn't to fulfill this need, because I don't think this need was very, very them driven. And whenever they needed, however they needed, they find their own ways of interacting with different ages of people. So Drupad, in fact, likes interacting a lot with older age group. He likes those intellectual discussions and stuff like that. So if he connects with a 30-year-old or a 40-year-old, he can spend a lot of time interacting with them, discussing things with them. so on and so forth. So again, I think it's a very individual thing, and we just let them lead there.
Yeah, that's why I was laughing. He has his own reason why he will interact with somebody and not interact with somebody. So I think he has his own personality kind of a thing, and he has his own needs that what he should get from that social interaction. So there's nothing about, that's what the question, nothing about social interaction. It's all about,
it's more in our minds, if at all we think about social.
Yeah, it's more in our mind.
Shamila, you're on mute, I think.
Sorry. I still, I've taken so many of these Saturday lives, and I yet, still falter over this mute, unmute thing. So, so why Aarohi? And you did mention that it brought together parents, who were into open learning. But could you share a little more about why Aarohi, and how long has it been since you all started Aarohi? And,
yeah, so that was 2008. We were already doing open learning with our daughter for about a year, and then there were some other parents who were also interested, let's just put it this way, in doing this, and they kind of nudged us that, hey, you guys are already into working with children, and we also felt, yeah, so why don't we kind of get together and start something? So a kind of a space where we all can be together. Uh, and that's where we started off, and it just was so enjoyable, at least for us.
Add into this that when we started, we felt that we were alone.
Yeah.
As a family, we were alone in this kind of thing. Never heard neighbors, relatives, anybody. We almost thought we are the only one in the city, kind of who are taking this step. But when we started interacting with more people, realized no, there are so many who are doing, who are into this journey in their own way. But there was, we tried forming groups in city levels and different parts,
like WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups.
City groups and all the things. But that group was not coming. Energies will come, then drop down, and this happen and that happens and all. So we realized that we need to put in efforts to get going this effort, a kind of a concept where anybody who wants to start, there's a support system available. Because when we started, we realized that it was in pieces kind of a thing. I mean, if we approach a family to understand, each family was quite welcoming, open and all that, but we missed a kind of a space or a support system and all that. And that's where I think organically, that's how the Aarohi started, more and more with this intention of having able to create that support system for people. Because what happens is that if I talk about the education today, and if I talk about the conventional education, there's so many things I can see that, my child can go into this and CBSE, this, that kind of thing. But when somebody asks about homeschooling, there are many questions, and then there is no way to find out and know about it. And that's where I think Aarohi kept on being there for to have that kind of an experience where means there is an option. And this option, because we saw children after children, that how these options are working out for them. So
yeah, also we felt that a little later, not at 2008, but maybe by 2011, 12, we started thinking that if there is a sustained place, then more people will see this option, will possibly, kind of at least get introduced to it, become more aware of it. Whether they take it or not, obviously it is their choice. So that became a kind of a larger effort to it, and that's when 2013 we moved into this campus which we have in a village now, about 60 kilometers from Bangalore. So we felt that it would be nicer if we are living together, children, families living together, doing things together. So a campus would be more interesting than just being in an urban setup. So that's when we moved here, and so on. I mean, that's been the journey. So that's where we are in terms of that. But it was at no point it was driven because of our children. We were not trying to do it for our children. It was more for the concept of open learning that we did that. Our children were just like with us in that whole journey.
I have a question.
Yeah, Ruchi.
Through Aarohi, have you experienced or helped any students who have wanted to go back to university or go back to the traditional route after homeschooling? And how has that happened? How was that transition?
Yeah, many have gone back. Well, I don't think Aarohi has help, meaning they didn't really need Aarohi's help. I think there's personally, at least in my opinion, it's very easy to just go back. If you want to go back and join school at any point of time, or directly from 10th and 12th go into a college level, at that time you want to go back to them. I think, it's meaning, I'm not saying it's cakewalk. Nothing is cakewalk in life. Everything requires effort. You might have to go to 10 places, find out, talk to them, so on and so forth. There might be procedures, but I think people who have wanted to get back, and there are a lot of people who have joined schools back or after 10th and 12th college back, they've really managed to do that in all kinds of boards, states, cities, everything. That's been our experience.
Including, I think she was at 7 or 8 year old, she decided that I want to go to school, and her reasons were because I want to have a uniform or exam. Or
we're talking about another child, not our daughter. Just to clarify.
So she wanted to go back to school, and parents were with us, and they are still a part of the community for so now they started more talking the child language. So with child, they went to 3 schools, understood their process. The child understood the whole process, asked question to the principal that how can I get admission in this school and all those things. And all 3 schools gave her, I think all 3 gave her the admission, not because but because what she was. And what she was, the way she was either coming across or asking question and all different kind of a thing, because she was now leading going back to school, and she had her own strong reason to go back to school. So we have personally not heard even a single family coming back and sharing with us that we found it difficult, our children going back to school, including couple of them even in abroad, that they needed to shift back. They shifted back, going to college. Children have gone to college.
But just clarifying, it need not happen very quickly. The parents and the family would need to put an effort, visit a number of places. I'm not trying to say it's very easy or difficult.
It's anyway not easy to get into
anything.
You need to fulfill the needs of that wherever you are now shifting back or whatever going to. So surprisingly, no one asked this question that how is the transition from conventional schooling to homeschooling? It's the same thing with any transition, needs its own working time and all that kind of thing. So
right. So in fact, you've asked the question that was kind of what I wanted to ask next. So when children come from traditional schools to Aarohi, how is the transition for them? How is it? Is it tough? Is it difficult? Is it chaotic? How is it?
Yeah. So I would again say it's there's no one answer to it. Each child, each family responds to it in a very different way. So each child's journey is very different. I can't generalize it. I always tell parents it really we don't know how it will go. Let's just take it. Let's just be with the child. Let's just be with the family, and let's see how this particular child and family takes it. For all you know, after 6 months, the child or the family may say, no, this is not working, let's go back, which is fair enough. Or they can just continue that eternally. So I think, again, there is no one formula or one way of doing it or one, whatever, settling down or whatever. It really is each one's perspective.
Yeah.
And we have all kinds of stories.
So even for children, I mean, families who are doing homeschooling, uh, it's a different experience of different families when we listen to them, that how this transition is. Sometimes children are missing that somebody leading their life. Then sometimes children enjoy that, okay, I'm able to lead my life, and so all kinds of things. But I think, according to me, what works is those interactions which
Yeah.
we engage in different forms to know each other, to because that listening helps us to know each other, and that is what is the process of
Yeah. Yeah.
either this way transition or that way transition, both ways.
Yeah, I think I'm the one who's having some internet connectivity issues, but yeah. So I'm going to take you to the next question, which is I'm going to put it up. So my next question is very similar to what was asked. So have
Yeah. Sorry, your voice is
they
breaking.
given their NIOS or any other board exams? And if yes, then do you have any suggestions to books that can be followed? Because that's a question that comes from one of our viewers.
So, sorry. Um, I will say the whole world is there. Yeah, you know, NIOS or any examination, uh, uh, it's a very minuscule percentage of the option of books. Uh, if you're only talking about the books, I'm not even talking about the other resources right now. Yeah, there are all kinds of books. If you're asking me to suggest any book,
But I have a suggestion. I'll have a suggestion that let the child lead.
yeah,
If the
that's all.
child is saying, I want to give an iOS examination, I have chosen this. So I would put it this way. First of all, let the child choose that I want to give an iOS. Second, let the child choose the subject. Third, let the child choose from and
Which
how I
source?
want to learn. Do I want to learn from a person? Do I want to learn from a book? Do I want to learn from few websites or YouTube videos or some course or a permutation combinations of all the possible things? If the child leads, uh, I think that's the ideal. And then as the child is leading and I am observing, because I am not leading, so I am not busy, so I am free, so I can observe, oh, so this is what is helping him or her, and this is what is not helping. Then I will try to bring in, if I want to, additional resources of what is helping him or her, and obviously not bother about the things which are not helping him or her. So I would say let the child lead and let us follow. And as we follow, we will get to support them. Many cases, though, we haven't really supported them. They are pretty much cool with figuring out what they
So
want to learn,
I'm
how they want to learn, and they only come for a specific doubt to the relevant person, not necessarily us. Whoever knows about that particular doubt, clarify that, move ahead. So they kind of figure out what they are
so I
liking.
think I'm personally quite apprehensive about suggesting any book to anyone for someone,
Hmm. Right.
or any resource. In this case, suggesting to parents a book about a child, because child is different.
Yeah.
Child needs are different. Uh, so any suggestion with with somebody is giving that, okay, this series of book is quite great. I ask question, for whom? For whom this series is great? You at say 35, 40 average age of the parents are finding that very exciting, but where is the child here?
Exactly.
So those suggestions are, from my perspective, I've already lived so many of those books in my life, and now I'm selecting. So I find it very risky business to suggest any book
And
or
not just book, any resource, anything for
any
that matter.
way out
I
for.
would say, yeah, let the child lead and we will observe, and then we can see what can we do about it.
But I
If
think
at all
one
we
important I think one important thing that this parent can do who's asking this question is to show the options, And when you have a network of homeschoolers, you can get the NIOS books, you can get the Cambridge books and the ICSE and CBSE, and just show your child the options. Children are so much smarter than we think they are. They can look at the books
Yeah.
themselves and decide what gives them interest. And when they are interested in something, they will figure out a way to achieve it and to attain that knowledge. So
True,
I think
true.
I completely agree with what you're saying, that when it comes to books and exams, that it's best to let the child lead, because then it's a different kind of focus that the child has, a different
Yes.
kind of what's the word, motivation, because it's not
Yeah.
imposed upon, it's coming from within. So yes, thank you for that
Absolutely.
question. Yeah. I wanted to ask you the next question. I know Sharmila's might be joining also, but what kind of mindset should the parents have when together to create a community or a learning space? Actually, these are two questions kind of along the same lines, that how do you come up with setting up an open learning space? What are the components needed? Like what was that process like of, because you were in the city initially and now you've, created Aarohi. So what was that process like, and what were the things that you needed to get that started?
I think if you ask for a mindset, it has to be an open mindset, because there are going to be so many different ways, perspectives, so many different children, so many different parents, grandparents, relatives, So it has to be an open mind that, yeah, there are different needs, different wants, different things. So it is not that I know something and that has to be done that way. So because if you hold on to that, then it's no more a community, it's then your way of looking. You will I would still have my individual style, Aditi will have her. So styles can be very very unique, but the mindset has to be a very open mindset. And I think the rest is the if we co-create. I would say the other component is co-creation, which I say even for a family, that any family doing homeschooling, unschooling, open learning could be co-creating this whole journey. And it's the same for the community. If you co-create everything, what kind of food should we eat, what are the timings, how do we want to do things, if everything is co-created, then everybody is involved in it, and everybody is kind of needs and wants are kind of at least touched upon, considered. So we never had a voting system, because we feel even if one person disagreed, that person's disagreement is as important as the 10 persons, the rest of the 10 agreeing to it. So it has to be everybody coming to the same conclusion. So sometimes processes take time, because everybody has to buy in into it, whatever everybody is thinking, everybody needs to be listened to. So it sometimes takes processes a certain amount of time, but it's worth it, because even one voice is important. So it's not a democratic environment. We don't think it's a democratic environment. We think it's a community environment where all are important. Even one voice, whether it's a 5-year-old or a 50-year-old, every voice is important, and I think
so,
that's the real community to us.
And also somebody saying what we need to do to get going this in any city. I personally believe is that somebody who is there to move on. I mean to say, at least there's somebody who's holding on. Uh, Groups gets formed, and then they get, each one in the group have a different priorities, and then the group gets dissolved. That also happens. But even after that dissolving, even if one or two families are able to take it forward,
To sustain it.
Somebody who can let it sustain, can sustain it, that can
Yeah.
that is the key to be able to people will come, people will go. So in that sense, really the mindset doesn't matter. We will have all kinds of mindset walking in, and when people are coming, they will have a different mindset. When they are in, there is a different mindset. When they want to be out, there is a different mindset. So I don't know which mindset we need to look into at what stage, but
somebody needs to sustain it.
Somebody needs to sustain it. Again, I don't know, it might be my personal experience. So it's not for that for my children I want to do it, because your children will grow out of it after some years. Then that group, then community gets dissolved, kind of a thing.
Which is also okay. If somebody is okay dissolving it after some years, is also fine. And if you want to continue it, that is also fine. I think everything is fine. People, please just start doing it. I would say we have a joke here. It takes 18 rupees to start a community. That 18 is just a random number, just to show that it isn't about anything. It's about just us wanting to get together. And some may sustain, some may not sustain, and there is nothing like that. Some which has sustained more is holier or better than the one who did not sustain. Nothing like that also.
And it's also not that okay. It's not easy. You know, there would be differences. There are different opinions. There are different ways. As somebody saying that their own way of doing open learning, and so there might be many things walking in and walking out of our paths, kind of a thing. But if we think as in this question, if we think that a space is required for the moral support and to connect with each other, I think we have to just put in efforts. That's all I can.
Yeah, the only thing we can say now, Aarohi has been about 15 years old roughly. So only thing we can say is that given its all ups, downs, and everything, it's quite it's fun. It's fun. It's fun in the sense of it's joyous. Rather, it's joyous. Yes, it requires a lot of effort, but it's kind of worth it, and we have enjoyed it and enjoyed interacting with so many people, so many families over the last 15 years. So it's been wonderful.
That's so nice. But I think that because you enjoyed it so much, that's why it was able to sustain. Because if you had the expectation that there would be this many families in your group and there would be this much of, contribution from others, then maybe it would not have been able to sustain. But because it was so coming from within you and you wanted to create this space, I probably think that that's a big part of why it has been successful.
Bang on.
Yeah. Ruchi, you said that was about to say that I think it's the joy part and our own thing which helps us to stay there where we are.
Yeah, which is now we have started this co-versity for the older age group. Again, it may not, our children are kind of already on there, but the whole thing about, yes, the youth can actually do their professional journey the way they want to do by doing the work they like doing rather than simply going ahead somewhere else. So they can chart their own journey out with every day being challenged that they want to put to themselves, which is where we have started this co-versity at this point of time. Surely, plainly, because yes, it's so much. We see that energy, that joy, and that option available to the youth of today, especially available to the community of homeschoolers, unschoolers, open learners of our country that yes, we can do this. We can, you come, we can do this together.
And I
So
think,
how
Richi,
would we do that? Sorry?
you also mentioned quite an important point, that it's not about how many number of families joins. Many times, uh, people look at proof of that concept by the number of people following it. Okay. And so it's you said quite an important thing. It's not that how many people are part of that community. I say, if it is 1 + 1, move on.
In fact, I remember when we started off and we were just thinking, hey, how many children we need to start this community? And IT said, we already have 2. So we are good to go. We'll see how many come, how many go. That's what our 2 children. And yeah, it goes. Sorry, you were also saying something else also.
Right.
Yeah.
So so many new homeschoolers are going to be seeing this. So how can they reach out, or if we have families living in Bangalore who want to visit your campus and learn more, how would they go about that?
Okay, so 2 simple meaning. One is we have a website, Aarohi, AAROHILIFE, aarohilive.org. So the website gives you all the information. They can also connect on a WhatsApp number. If that is there, we can put it in the group. After this call ends, we can put it as a comment. I'm sure some other way of putting that number there. So yeah, so they can connect. They can visit. So one of the things that we like doing is offering people to come and stay here for a week, Monday to Friday, as a family. We insist on the whole family coming. Normally, it is fun, and more importantly, they can then experience being with the other open learners here, other families here, other parents here, and that's a very interesting window. A whole lot of families have visited us in the last 10 years, and they've gone back and said the experience gave us insights into so many things, because there's nobody talking to you. It's not a discussion. You live here as part of the community for 5 days. So you observe children, you observe everybody, you yourself become an open learner, a child. You start doing things. You might be painting a wall, you might be creating a machine, you might be cooking something, doing coding. God knows what you would be doing, but you would be also part of the whole environment, and that experience gives an understanding of how open learning can happen within a family, and also within a community, both ways. So the invitation is open to any family. They can visit for a day, they can visit for a week. We have a calendar on the website. You get to just check and see which there are slots there. You see which slot is there, and then you can come.
And it's not only for people coming from Bangalore.
Anywhere
you can come, you can plan. Then there is an online platform. After COVID, we continue that community space, online space. So there are families where we are part of this whole. So there is a yearly subscription for it, for the running of the community, and where as a family you join, children have their space, parents children together. So there are no boundaries out there. It's a virtual interaction.
Yeah, and the community meets every day in different forms.
Every day, every week, in different forms, different things which we do together. So that's another option for people to experience.
I just wanted to mention, since we are on Facebook, you can also DM us on Facebook. I think our profile is there, so you can DM us. Sometimes we may not respond immediately, so we will not be checking Facebook every day, but we'll definitely respond. Don't worry.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think now it's about an hour and 20 minutes. So, and yes. I think Sharmila's might be struggling with the internet. There was one question that someone asked that we didn't get to address. If we could just quickly do that, and then we'll let you go. The question is, did your daughter face any challenges when she began working? And she had done internships also, you mentioned. But were there any challenges because she didn't have a degree or any certification? Or did she always want to start her own business?
No, she didn't always want it to. That decision came much later, by around 20 years of age. Only then that came. Uh, no, I would. What I remember is she's. Meaning, I don't know how to define that word challenge, but if you are thinking just because of not having a degree, did she have problems? No, she did not have any problem. Did she have to find her own way? Yes, definitely. I'll give one example. She wanted to do a specific course on sustainability with Azim Premji University, which was only for graduates, right? It was announced for graduates, and this girl is not even 10, has not even done 10. So she wrote to them in detail that this
With her
is
portfolio.
with a portfolio, this is the work she's done in sustainability, this is why she is interested in this course, and please, I may my application may be accepted. So she obviously did not submit any mark sheets, anything, because she did not have any, and she was accepted, and she did the course with them. So I think, yeah, effort was required. We're not trying to say effort is not required, but the portfolio is the key word. The portfolio speaks. When you do work and you show the work, people are all the more eager. In fact, she have had many job offers in her journey, which she kept at different points turning down because she wanted to do something else, or she wanted to do multiple things, and not to get tied up with one job. But the whole point is, none of them were looking at her not having degree. All of them were looking at her work
Portfolio.
and portfolio, and they were experiencing her work, and they were valuing what she was bringing on the table. So
And did she
yeah,
create the portfolio herself, or did you have to help her do that?
No.
meaning more or less herself, meaning you as a parent or any other person around her, you will obviously guide, you will give your feedback to her, but it was largely when they are that old, they largely, and it is not a day, it is not a sudden portfolio. So we gave a lot of importance to documenting your journey, even if you are a 5-year old or a 7-year old, 10, 12, 15, 20. It doesn't matter what age you are, even a 3 years old portfolio can be created by the parents' help, by making videos. But the idea of portfolio is not to impress others, but to track your own journey, see your own progress, understand what all you have been doing. Are you happy with it? You want to change some things. So it's like more, that's why initially we call it documentation. But when you want to present your work to someone, you will give it a particular shape. You will crispen it, put it in a form, let's say, of a presentation or a set of videos or a little website, and then you will showcase it to, let's say, prospective clients or prospective employers. And that is how we do in Coversity also. So that's the same way. So she had a long list of things. So when she wanted to apply for Azim Premji, she projected the part of portfolio which focused on her work on sustainability. But when she wants to apply or do something else, she will change the portfolio according to that domain. So it really depends on what is the purpose and whom you are presenting, and then you will kind of put that together and kind of present it to that. But yeah, documentation is something we feel is just very very good, just to for self to know what have I been doing over the years, especially when we have to look at a longer journey. Oh, how has been my last 5 years, but if you have 5 years documentation, you can see it and zoom out and see, okay, this is how I have been going, this is how I've been developing, and so on.
I think in general, if a homeschool or unschooled child is rejected for something, the blame goes on to because you're homeschooled and you don't have degree. But if a degreed child is rejected for something, then the child is blamed that there's some problem with the child. Uh,
Neither is true.
So neither is true. Whenever you are rejected for something, I think the idea is to understand why you have been rejected. You know, what are the what are the needs which you have not fulfilled to be able to select it? Because every space, including universities, companies, passport office, has their own requirements, and if we are able to understand those requirements and able to provide that information, not always in the same format, but give them what they need, I think a lot of things get solved. We don't ask those questions.
Right.
That if this is the way, then how is it possible like that? All those kind of things. Uh, So, like for example, this few months back, our son who was applying for the license, nothing to do with the homeschooling, but for some reason his dates were getting postponed for 6 to 8 months. Finally, he decided to go and meet the commissioner of the whatever traffic police and try to understand from him what's happening to my application. And the commissioner was open. I mean, he was able to reach out to him. Many of us don't even think of reaching out to people and then ask them that what's happening, what can I do, and
he didn't go to any agent. He said, I'll go and meet the top officer.
He went alone. We were not there with him in the in Bangalore. We are here. So he did it. He found out. In fact, that rejection itself helped him to know that, okay, government officials or works are not so difficult, but it's not so easy also. We just need to ask them. Anywhere anyone is rejecting anybody, I think let's go and ask what is that I can do to be selected, kind of thing, if you are really wanting that.
You have to just have the guts to ask and advocate for your child when they're young and teach them to advocate for themselves when they're older. If you don't ask, you won't get.
Absolutely.
Our son just yesterday got rejected. His internship has been rejected. Somebody said right now we are not ready to take you, kind of thing. So now the next question he's asking them is that what are the skills can I build to be able to get the internship?
Wow.
Because he himself came up with that. He said, obviously, people will not give me internship because he just got into digital marketing last month. So he said the kind of work I have produced till now, these people are not going to give me. But what are the needs? And if I can work on that, then the world is mine, kind of thing, in this field.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's ask for it.
Wonderful. Well, I learned so much listening to you. It was so nice getting to know you and the Aarohi that you've created and your kids and what they're doing. So unfortunately, Sharmila's not here. So I think I'll go ahead and end this call on her behalf. And thank you from all of Homeschooling India and all of the parents and kids who are watching this. There might be some more questions in the chat and we can address those in the chat as well. But thank you so much for spending your Sunday with us, Aditi and Ratnesh. And
just to add, so we are part of the India Homeschoolers group. So anytime you can, put in a question. And if we think our replying to that, although there are beautiful people like you are there, Sharmila and Dola, and so many others who are answering, wherever we think we can add value, we'll definitely add value. So we'll stay active in the group.
Thank you so much. That's so appreciated.
I just wanted to say thanks to Homeschooling India, and I think a lot of people who responded to that question which Ratnesh has put up about sharing our journey. It was beautiful to know that so many more people are thinking and seeking. Okay, are there many different ways? So thanks for and you and Sharmila and admins of Homeschooling bringing this talk forward. So I think every effort makes a difference. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.